allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everybody. Motion to open the town board meeting on August 10th.
So moved.
I'm sorry? Who made the motion?
George, Rick seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Can I get a motion to open the public hearing for the lands of ADC Orange?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Public hearing's open. Anybody from the public would like to speak? Any questions from the board?
This is on drainage?
This is the drainage district, establishing the drainage district.
Right, no, the drainage district encompasses is the entire parcel that makes up Maplewood Village right now. So it doesn't have any impacts on any of the neighbors. The applicant will be installing all of the drainage system, there's no cost to the town. It's just eventually, after the project is completed, constructed, the town would be taking over the stormwater facilities and the maintenance of those facilities. And with the district, you'd be able to tax individual homeowners of that district.
Sean, have you reviewed that?
No, I haven't reviewed it, I'm sorry.
I just wanted, because I haven't reviewed it,
You haven't reviewed what,
that,
the stormwater district?
yeah. I mean, the detail on what will be taken over. That's why I asked if Sean had looked at it.
It came before us.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you.
By all
Andy
means.
Gilchrist, just for the record, project attorney. Sean, did you, during the planning board review, generally look at the stormwater facilities as
Yes, the stormwater facilities were reviewed as part of secret. They were also reviewed as part of site plan and subdivision approval. I thought you were asking if it would review relative to what they're looking at now, which is slightly different than the planning board. The planning board did not look at it as if it was going to the town.
Correct.
They looked at those facilities on private property. And that's, it's just not a negative. I just didn't know you wanted me to.
No, I was just thinking, if you as the engineer, if you look through all that, say, okay, yeah, that's something we can take over and so forth
I
and
don't
so
think
on.
there's any change though. from
Okay,
what was
very
reviewed by
good.
the planning board. I think it's just a change in who's going to own the property and maintain the facilities.
Right, and in point of fact, just for the record, and I'm sure this board is aware, the preliminary subdivision approval, one of the conditions was the petition to this board to create the drainage district.
correct.
Right.
To
Yep.
take over operation of the stormwater facilities. The stormwater layout, the location, operation of the stormwater facilities was approved,
Approved by,
at least preliminary approval by the planning board.
Right.
And does there have to be an HOA created because of that? Because
No,
No.
no, so how it will work is, you're creating the special improvement district, the drainage district,
Right.
so it will be publicly owned and operated, and
assessed to the
assessed to
individual.
the individual lot owners for the cost of.
Right, and the estimate that you gave was $10,000, I believe, for everything over the
Yes.
course of a number of years,
Yeah,
depending on what had to be done. And the assessment was about $47 or something like that per homeowner.
Right, per year.
I guess.
yeah.
It's about $10,000 a year.
Right.
And then we have to figure out how we're going to maintain this thing, what type of organization, if we're gonna maintain it, who's gonna
Contractor,
maintain it,
Yeah,
subcontractor.
we are looking at that.
That's for us.
abroad now. Yes, we are. Mhm.
Yeah,
Some municipalities have their DPWs
Right.
maintain them.
right,
Some of them contract out to
Mhm.
other
Right.
people that just, that's all they do.
right, right.
Rick, anything?
No, I still like the idea of the district, though. I think it's a great thing.
Anybody else?
I don't have anything else.
All right, at this point, nothing from the public. Can I give a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we're gonna hold off on the second public hearing because there was a typo in the paper till 7:30, in case anybody comes. Rory, next steps, you're gonna create the resolution for this, correct?
Correct, it'll be similar to Persons, just different.
Ready for next ready for next town board meeting.
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll go to the next
I
town
have a
board meeting.
motion to authorize the attorney to prepare the resolution.
Thank you.
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, with that said, we'll go on to the next item. Review and discuss introductory law number 6. Introductory law number 6 is the increase in height in the 3 zones and the increase in the setback as the height goes up. Lee Burgess from the planning board put together a really nice illustration for us so that we can see as we go up why the setback is required to keep the same distance on,
Thank you.
what's that?
I'm sorry, I was just talking to Mary. My apologies.
So the illustration's there in front of you, if anybody has any questions on it.
Well, as it says, Joe, the setback actually is 200 feet, right?
Correct, so just change the setback to 200, so the increase goes 25, 25, 25.
Or every 10 foot of height.
Correct.
Well, Joe, I've gone through this, done some kind of looking at it. And the first question I have is, why are we doing this? Why is this proposed? What's changed? I mean, we've had this for 35 feet for a long, long time.
Well, I mean, 35 feet, I believe, and the industry believes, 35 feet is a residential height. It doesn't.
It is.
Okay, but we're talking about an industrial and commercial zone.
Well, let me talk a little bit about then where I'm at, okay?
Before you go into it, Doug, if I could just say, this board's already approved 100 feet for Legolands.
For what?
100 feet for Legolands. The height on the Legoland facility is 100 feet.
Sure, yeah.
So it's not like we haven't done it
I
already.
understand.
By all means, go ahead.
Okay. But 65 feet is an 86% increase in height, you know. And one of the things that I'm concerned about a little bit is energy. When we finish these big buildings and you plug them in, it's going to take a lot of energy. Now, I was an industrial planner and I was a manager of the industrial planners for an industrial company. And here's where my concern has nothing to do with what we're going to do, but I went down 207 and saw the big building, what's the pharmaceutical company? Medline. If they go out of business, that cannot be repurposed. That's what my concern is, repurposing these buildings.
Yep.
Another one is 14.5 acre warehouse on Scotchtown Avenue, just before we hit 211. Now that one's probably 35 feet. It's not a big, tall one, and it's by trees. It's really well done. But then, how are you gonna repurpose that when they go out of business or something? Okay?
Well, I don't know, but I don't think it's the town board's requirement to
Well,
find out what we're gonna repurpose
I
it.
want to go through some of this.
Sure, go ahead.
Because I've lived this.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay? And as the manager of this group, and we got socked with lots of buildings that were so big, no one could use them, and then we had the cost of taking them down. Okay? And so Sears and Roebuck went belly up in 2018, or I think 18 or 19, went bankrupt. J.C. Penney's went bankrupt in 2020. The mall all of a sudden was in dire straits, and then all of a sudden Target came in, which is the food, they sell foods and other things that kind of brought it up a little bit. But Toys R Us went under. And you go on, and there's a whole lot of them, because the world in which we're living is difficult. Amazon's put a lot of people out of, and so all of a sudden you start getting these, like, is it RMD or?
RDM.
RDM, thank you. They're building one in the village, they're building one in the town, they want to build 2 more in the town, that's 4.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden we get, Orange County's becoming a county of warehouses. And my concern is, what are we going to, because I really believe something's going to happen in the next 10, 15 years, and it's going to be like with Sears and Roebuck. I never thought Sears and Roebuck or J.C. Penney or those others would ever go under. Oh, another one is Yellow Freight yesterday. Okay? 99 years in the business, they went belly up, and it's happening a lot. And I'm just thinking about how we're gonna get stuck if we have these big buildings that are 65 feet. They're very difficult to purpose, you know?
But why do you feel it's our obligation to
And
repurpose?
smaller ones, you can we're stuck with them though, that's a fact.
No, the bank is stuck with them. The bank that put 50 million into the build out is stuck with it. They're not just gonna let it go to waste. It's their obligation to try to get it repurposed.
What I'm sharing with you though is we're stuck with it relative to an empty building that maybe the bank or, I'm just talking about where it's at. Now, let me try to share a real story then to show what I'm talking about, okay? I was with DuPont Chemical Company.
No, really?
And our company, okay, all of our customers with fiber went to Malaysia and other places, the people buying product from us. And the buildings are empty. I mean, huge warehouses and production machines and so forth. So it's not, it's ugly for the community. It's, and I don't see any flexibility, but I think Orange County and the Orange County Partnership are going like hell bent for leather with these kinds of things. And I've been there before. I've experienced it, and so I just want to share that with the board. I'm not saying no, yes, or otherwise.
And I respect your knowledge and your time you spent in the business world.
Yeah.
I think we're getting into an area that is not of our concern. You know, we can't be concerned about, we have an industrial area.
Yeah.
The industrial area says we can have warehouses up to a certain amount of distance and height. We're giving variances for these businesses now at the zoning board because we believe that, the zoning board believes that, you know, a residential height shouldn't be applied in an industrial building. I just don't think we can, part of our mindset can't be, it's gonna go belly up and we have to worry about repurposing it. You know, if we don't wanna do it, that's one thing. I'm not saying we're obligated to do it. What I'm saying is that fact, that information that you're providing today is good information, but I don't think it's part of the thought process.
What I was thinking of doing is I'd keep it the way it is, and then let the planning board and ZBA, if they're gonna increase it, and go through that process, rather than saying automatically, we're gonna, all of them, even, because you go up to 65 feet, another 80. And see, these buildings, they're warehouses, require a lot of energy for the sprinkler systems. They cannot freeze. And I mean, I've just seen all this firsthand, and
We're making the assumption these are all gonna be warehouses, and, you know, I can't make that assumption, and in fact, I've been, you brought RDM up, I'm familiar with their both sites, and my agreement with the developers at RDM is to use their best efforts to get us manufacturing facilities that are gonna create jobs, and they're doing that. You know, the first building that they got approval on is Sunlight. They're gonna have 75 positions there, engineers, it's a lighting company. So we're working closely, and Sean could attest to the fact that RDM is a very professional company, and they give us exactly everything we need. Those are the kind of developers that we want to keep here in this town. And if we're not creating a height change just for those developers, but the industry does call for it. You know, and certainly I don't see, you know, they're gonna invest $25, $30 million to build a building. I don't see the bank just saying, oh, well, I'm sorry, they went out of business, okay, let's get a bulldozer in there and bulldoze it down. You know, they're gonna get it filled with somebody.
well, what I'm sharing with you is from a planning perspective, you look at the business for 15 years, what's it gonna be looking like? And because the world in which we're living today changes very quick.
And I would agree with that, and I would say, you know, Sears and Roebuck, JCPenney, they're all part of the internet craze, the Amazon craze. They went out of business because the internet was created, not because people didn't want to shop anymore, because they found it a lot easier to sit on the couch and shop.
Okay.
And that's why you're seeing these brick and mortar stores going down. Yeah,
Okay.
I appreciate where you're coming from.
I think I went through a list and I got 6, and like Toys R Us and this one, oh, Christmas Tree Shop that went out, is currently going out.
Yep, they're all part of the internet phase that we're in now, and the Amazon phase. Amazon didn't become a multi-billion-dollar corporation without taking over some of these companies, and it's unfortunate for sure.
Well, anyway, I want to put it on the table.
Yep,
Just as a.
I appreciate your-
It's something that, particularly when I hear this 14.5 acre warehouse, again, that's
Where's
not
that?
in Goshen, that's one on Scotchtown Avenue.
I don't believe that's 35 feet. I think that's probably upwards of 50 feet. You're talking about the one on the other side of the Wallkill River on Scotchtown?
On the left-hand
Yeah,
side.
you go over the Wallkill River on the left-hand
Yeah,
side.
the trees are covering it, whatever it is.
Yeah.
They
And
did a
this
nice
is
job, they
part
did a
of,
nice job.
part of the
building.
planning process, and I think our planning board does a phenomenal job in
Uh-huh.
instilling in these developers that we need tree coverage, we need to, we don't want this eyesore.
Yeah.
I mean, they spend a lot of time, and Sean can attest to this, a lot of time. Phil Dropkin sitting in that seat, that's his number 1 pet peeve, making sure we have trees, making sure we have things that cover some of these things.
Yeah. Well, I went the first time I saw Medline, my God, how did that happen? Because it's up on a hill and it's huge, and it goes on, it's deep and it's wide. And
Yeah.
they'll never, ever, I don't know what Medline, I
Did you
know.
see the Amazon warehouse?
Huh?
Did you see the Amazon warehouse
Which one?
in Montgomery?
No. I know they're building one in where Playtogs was
Yeah, I think
in
that's-
Middletown.
That's bigger than Medline.
1.1 million square feet right off of 84, you can't miss it.
It is huge.
In fact, you see it from New York City.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Well, okay, one day we will be sitting around the table going, oh, shit. I'm sorry.
Right now, our responsibility to the town is to get the most ratables we can for the residents of this town, and,
Okay.
It's a big one.
All right, I just had to share what I
Bill?
felt.
Yeah, my only, not even concern, I think that where they're located is more important than how the height and so on and so forth. So as long as they're located in commercial, industrial, office, I think these are the times that's what they're looking for. If a person wants to invest in a 6-story office building, then that's, as long as it's properly located, not in the middle of a residential thing, I'm really fine with this.
And keep in mind, guys, before I go to you, George, keep in mind, our job here tonight is only, to take lead agency and then push it off to the planning board and the county planning. They're gonna weigh in on this heavily because they have to deal with it on a daily basis. I'm sure Sean will be actively involved in this next time it comes up in front of the planning board. George?
Okay, I kind of agree with what Phil was just saying, but I had a couple of, I guess, detailed things that I looked at when I went through the seeker report. So interestingly enough, when I filled this out.
He's sitting right there. Sean.
Sean.
Oh, that's great.
For dinner, George.
Well, it's interesting because the project contact person is Joseph Bloomfield. So it's a combination of Doug and Joe. So I thought that was interesting. Okay, so
You took a phone call on that part when you were doing it. You're at Joe and.
I think it's just reusing an old.
And the other thing which I mentioned to Joe already, which I think, apparently there isn't, but it seems to me that, and it's not about this particular local law, but in the I-zone, the 5 acres, it has no maximum footprint. It's just blank there. There must be a maximum footprint on,
Doesn't have it in our code either.
That's the way the code reads.
Yeah.
I didn't write
Yeah.
the local law.
The local law is,
Well-
well, go ahead.
right, well, I'm just saying that maybe that should be addressed, right? I mean, there should be some kind of a maximum on the footprint.
I don't disagree, that's,
Yeah, but anyway,
but
that's
that's,
an aside.
Sean, any thoughts on that?
There's no current maximum right now.
yeah, I mean,
Because it just has to be inside the setbacks.
yeah, which makes it virtually
Right.
impossible to go,
Makes it work. Yeah.
it kind of limits itself in a sense.
Yeah.
But-
Okay,
Well, what would the potential problem be with that?
Well, I don't even know how you could can only take advantage of it so much, I mean,
You still have
because
your,
you have to hit the setbacks, you have to hit, you would be,
and then you have impervious surface coverage anyway, so.
There's other requirements in your code, there's design standards that make you offset the building when it's over so many square feet, so there's some internal limitations that that you don't see in this that are elsewhere in the code.
Okay.
okay, then the next thing is, at the end of the seeker, it says, part 1 and part 2 is all checked out. But when I reviewed part 1, it wasn't filled out at all. It was a whole series of pages. It was like 7 or 8 pages that were just totally blank. I think they should be checked off as notes.
Yeah.
So D1, potential proposed
It
development.
might be just printing out the form off of,
Yeah, when it was converted to a PDF,
Yeah.
I think it actually.
And it lost all the stuff.
Yeah. I think
yeah.
so.
So we'll address that and get a hard copy done?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes.
Yep.
And let's see if I had one other thing, I thought there was something in the last report.
That's what I know. Let's see.
No, it's a- Yeah, that was it, that's all I had.
Rick?
I think this addresses a long time problem. I was on the zoning board, we had a few of these, they applied for variances and they received them. So I think this sets the tone for all the future building in the town. I think it's a great idea. I think it works.
All right, well,
Joe, can I just chime in on one thing? Just conceptually why, a little background to why that was, we did a great job, first off, but
Yeah.
it was becoming hard, it's coded, you pull one thing out, add another thing, it Frankensteins it pretty bad, so this kind of keeps a formula in place that guides not only this group and applicants, but the ZBA.
Yeah.
Because if you look at some of these things in here, I don't know where conceptually they came up with it. I'm not saying they're wrong or right, but not having been a part of that, no one on this board having been a part of it, it's hard to determine why one thing was one thing and another's another. So I think this protects in that sense. If you add one thing, you gotta add another. And then you may find out that there's little tweaks in it, and that's for the ZBA to clean up potentially, but I think that's the basis of why Lee did it that way, which is very helpful.
all right.
Mr. Rose, can I just mention something for your consideration? So this was the first time I saw Lee's analysis was this evening. If you look at the analysis, he's going up in increments of 5 vertical feet for every 25 foot horizontally. On the second page of the law, which is footnote 2, it says for every increase in 10 feet in height, you go back 25 feet.
Yep.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you intend for the text to be consistent with the graphic.
I got 35 to 45, so I'm back 25 feet. 10 feet up, 25 feet back.
When you get further away, he's using increments of 5, 80, 75, 70.
I'm hoping never to get to 70 feet.
So that's the second part of the question.
Yeah.
The way the law reads right now, there's no ultimate limitation, and I think you're gonna want a limitation, if nothing more for practical purposes. of
I think the
fire
limitation needs to
access.
be 65
Yeah.
feet, and then if
65
anything
feet.
beyond that. I think what Lee did here, and explain it, and he could explain it when he gets it. He wanted to give the zoning board the ability, if there, for some reason, they had to go to 70, they still got to adhere to the 25 feet. But I think we cap it at 65, am I
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, that was the idea. I just didn't, again, it was, before it came before the board, I wasn't gonna make a unilateral decision to go back to 65 that was discussed. So I just
Yeah.
left that chart
Yeah,
essentially
your chart's not
as
gonna be
is.
part of the, it was just a tool to get to the written portion for you.
Well, the dimensional table will still remain. I mean, but I went back, I put the original code numbers in, and then, so,
So all we're gonna do then
that would be,
is in the notation, we're gonna cap it at 65 feet, correct?
well, in the table, it would go to 65. That note would be the guidepost for any.
But I don't think we want it suggestive that you can go to 70 feet just by saying, okay, I'll go back 25 feet.
Right.
I think we want that point, I think we want to cap it at 65 and then say, if you want to go beyond that, you got to go to the zoning board and give them a reason why. It's still going to be an additional 25 feet.
Yeah.
I think we want, am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. We want to cap it at 65 feet.
Yeah, period.
yeah.
And it says 65 feet on page 1.
Right.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does. Okay, maximum height
Yeah.
allowed is 65 feet.
Yeah.
Right.
Sean, I have another question too, because I don't go to the planning board meetings and things. As we bring all these projects on, electricity. For example, Orange and Rockland came in one day and said, we're gonna have to build a new substation out on Hartley Road. And I said, why is that? Well, it was Middletown, the new hospital, they're expanding it, and they needed more power, and then of course, after that, Ham Enterprises came and wanted it, and then it was Amy's Kitchen inside, and so we built it, okay? And Orange and Rockland, I think, has already bought land from the McEwen farm, or I think they did, where they're gonna put a new substation there within 5 years because the one on 17A is inadequate. Well, as I see all this building going on, and this big stuff, I just wonder if there's a good communication between the planning board and Orange and Rockland to make sure we do have power at the right time.
Eric Fuentes sits on the planning board.
So does Marty Combs.
What?
So does Marty
Marty
Combs.
Holmes.
Yeah, hold on.
Okay.
But just so you're familiar with the process, when a project comes before the planning board, and in fact, the last thing I did before coming over here this evening was I was working on the RDM projects that you're talking about.
Right,
Going through their EAF,
right.
and in their EAF, there's a spot where they're supposed to identify what their anticipated electrical demand is.
Okay,
And the planning board typically asks Orange and Rockland to provide a will serve letter that acknowledges that demand and indicates that they can serve that project.
okay, good, fine. Just so we don't get, you know.
Isn't there a substation on Cheechunk?
Yeah.
No, that's on Hartley Road.
Well, it's off of
Yeah,
Hartley Road.
That's where it's at. And, but that was put there as a consequence
Oh, well, it's-
of all the building that went out, and it's really started with a hospital, even though it's
yeah.
in Goshen, it was their expansion up there, and so, anyway, we jumped in that and did a very nice job, I
No, it
thought.
did.
So, yeah,
And now, the electric stuff now is all LED lights. There's so many updated versions of computers.
Reductions
and-
in-
Yeah, it's
in
they
draw.
don't use as much energy really anymore as they
well, I
have
was
in the
thinking, what I
past.
was talking about, the warehouses, it's sprinkling systems, where it takes a lot of.
But they're all using LED lighting. In
Yeah.
fact, that's what the people that are coming into the
Sure.
RDM facility is a company called Light
I think that's.
Sunlight.
Yeah, I think that's all you can almost buy anymore, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. They even
They're very
if you
energetic.
go into the hi-hats now, you get the screw-in LEDs into the hi-hat.
Right.
All right,
Okay.
with that
So,
being
I'll keep
said,
working
any
on
other
it.
what?
I'll keep working on the,
Okay, so do we actually need a motion to assume lead agency?
Yes.
So can I get a motion to assume lead agency as a type 1 action?
So, also move.
Second? I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
So then we have to refer to the town planning board and the county planning simultaneously?
no,
You would do it, I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
you would do it simultaneously just for your own. If you get comments back, you're not gonna want to get comments in a staggered fashion. So let them see the law, let them comment on the law, then you can consider both comments at the same time.
Right.
Okay. Right, so then we'll get that off to the planning board and to county planning.
Will you do the
Okay.
referrals?
what's that?
Will you do the referrals?
Yeah? Thank you for doing that.
I'm not gonna schedule a public hearing at this point until we
No.
get all the comments back.
Yeah.
Because they could be, they have,
Yeah,
we'd have to go
gotcha. I mean, we'd have to go
50,
way
go
out to
60
September.
days out,
anyway.
just in case, so.
That's why I put the date,
Okay,
put it out.
I think by
as
next
30
meeting, you
days.
could schedule it with comfort that you would have everything back, but,
Looking at September
yeah,
14th.
okay, that would be,
That's the earliest.
all right, well, it's 7:30. Can I get a motion to open the public hearing for the proposed Hamiltonian Park Water and Sewer District Extension by Maplewood Village subdivision?
So moved.
Second?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, any comments from the public? No, Mr. Russo?
Good evening. So, what we're requesting is the extension of the Hamiltonian Heritage Water and Sewer Districts, known as District Number 1, Water and Sewer, to allow the extension of those districts to also take in the Maplewood Village project. As far as the installation of the infrastructure, water, sewer, there is no cost to the town. There's no cost to anybody but my applicant. In the report, I broke it down as far as what it would cost typically to the individual. It's on page, it's in 2 spots. It's on page 3, service charges for the water distribution system. As I explained before, when we're designing it, there's certain flows that are required to be used for design flows by Department of Health and DEC. We're looking at 4-bedroom home here, all of them. That requires 440 gallons per day to be used. Quite a bit of water, quite a bit of sewer, honestly. I did meet with the town. The town was very gracious enough to give me actual data of what's actually being used by 4-bedroom homes in Hamiltonian and Heritage. Basically, using the design flow for water, the annual cost based upon the town's rates would be almost $2,000 annually to the homeowner. What it actually is going to be, based upon what's being used at the other two developments, is anywhere from $565 to $687. Completely different. Same with the sewer. Basically there, annually, we were looking at over $3,200 based upon design flows. That's what would be charged annually. Based upon the actual flows, four-bedroom home would be typically charged anywhere from $273 to $319 per quarter, or a little over $1,000 to just under $1,300 annually. So you're cutting it in a third. Some of the flows at some of the homes there seems a little higher. Could be they have pools, they're topping off their pools, more people in the house, more showers, more cooking, more dishes, whatever it may be. But you can see, you know, we're not that far out of range with what's typical here if I base on actual history provided. So that's what we're looking for, honestly. So we're gonna put in the sewer, water infrastructure system over here, connect over. This district would allow you to assess those residents at the current town rates, and those that, you know, the town may change in the future.
Okay, she's not budget.
And we talked a little bit about the issues we have with water in that area relative to manganese and iron, and the town has already passed, I believe we passed the law already, is it all new developments are required to have a drain sand system in place?
I don't believe we.
I don't think
We
so.
don't
No.
pass the law.
Okay.
So,
I think,
Getting it.
And I know we talked
I
about
think
that.
planning board though makes it a requirement,
Yeah,
correct?
I can fill in the blanks on that.
Yeah.
So your board, back I believe in January, you were discussing the green sand filter system at Hamiltonian Park, and at that time you also were considering the one at Heritage Estates.
Right.
You had indicated in that meeting that as a policy matter, you would want that moving
Correct.
forward. The planning board with this application was concluding the application. And what they did was they adopted in the resolution a requirement for the developer to come to you to see whether the developer's agreement needs to be revised to require water treatment.
Mhm.
So once it's gonna be back in your court whether you're gonna require it of this applicant. That was the best the planning board can do considering it's not a law.
Yeah, and I realize with the testing that was done, there's little or no manganese in the water.
Right, and actually my applicant is having the wells retested
Retested? Okay.
for flows to make sure that getting the same volume out of there, and the entire Park 5 to verify metals, pesticides, the whole 9 yards, so we can see.
Okay.
You know, you may require the construction of this, but as we discussed.
You're correct. We don't know what that manganese level is, so you don't know what kind of
Right.
treatment is
And,
required.
you know, the other thing you could look at, you're right, you know, down the road, maybe there's a problem 5, 10 years. I mean, when Hamiltonian and Heritage were built, there was no problems years down the road. I don't want to design and build a system that sits offline and deteriorates, so that when you go to turn it on,
Correct.
it blows apart.
So,
You know, it might be better at some of these newer projects that come in, that you possibly look at, like setting a fund, a
Fund.
treatment fund, that the developers put money into, and in this way, years down the road, if it becomes necessary, there's money there to build it.
how long was it on the initial testing of Heritage? Did they have iron and manganese in
I
them?
don't recall when the initial testing was done, that was before my time, I think it was the late 90s or early 2000s. Shortly after they started up though, they did receive some problems. I think the
Yeah.
initial complaints were high sulfur,
Yep.
so the operator shut down the well.
Yeah, so now they're seeing iron and manganese in it. 2 of the 3 wells, and then we just required them to put it in the 3rd well. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, whatever it's gonna take, just,
Right,
we
so-
don't want the residents there, you know, having brown water. I don't
Right,
wanna
no,
drink
we're
it.
not looking
Yeah,
to
no, I got
not
you,
do
of
whatever you
course.
need, but I don't wanna build a system and it just
We
sits
do.
there and you turn it on, it blows apart. and-
Yeah, so
we
we'll
rebuild the whole system.
we'll calculate some kind of cost level based on the amount of homes in comparison to what we have in Heritage or something else.
Right.
Okay.
So, Mr. Supervisor, I think the way that will occur, the mechanism would be within the developer's agreement.
Okay.
That's consistent with the planning board's resolution, and then that gives you the ability to work with the developer.
Now, are you chlorinating the water?
Yes, we will be chlorinating the water, right? The water will be pumped from the wells into a well house where there'll be chlorination that takes place. place, and then the water will go out into the distribution system from there.
So we don't have any problem with the village as far as the volume of, the additional volume.
So they have to meet with the village, correct?
Have you met with them yet? Do you have?
My applicant has been having conversations with Molly.
Okay.
already.
Oh, okay, because I mean, that's.
We've had previous letters from the
Right.
village that they were willing to accept.
Okay, I'm just
And
trying to
we've
avoid
opened up
any.
conversations
The last
again.
communication was she emailed me about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, asking if it was exactly the same number that she authorized. We have a letter from end of 2018,
Right,
and I said it's exactly the same number.
okay. I'm just, I just
Yeah.
want to do a little house
Yep.
cleaning. We want to get to a point where all of a sudden this thing pops its ugly
Now,
head.
your planning board's been
So-
on top of that, they
Yeah, yeah.
asked for the same thing
Yeah.
also, so.
The other thing is that I like the fact that we're expanding the district, because frankly, you broaden the base for Hamiltonian Park.
Correct.
These are new developments.
Yeah,
The
no.
people in Hamiltonian Park, I don't think would have any hesitation or resistance, because you're just broadening the base, and they're the ones that really will benefit from this whole thing. So I, for one, we're taking care of the residents that are there right now just by expanding the district. So I'm
Agreed.
really in favor of this, so anyway, it's just a comment. That's all.
George?
Yeah, so just to follow up on what we were just talking about, specifically sewer. And as it says in there, the village has a willingness to serve. That's the buzzword that's being used.
Yeah.
I hope that is correct, that they are, and I guess you're saying they have an obligation to do that.
Yeah, you have a letter from them, correct?
Yeah.
All I'm hoping is that if that were to fall apart for whatever reason, let's say the DEC comes in and says, no, you can't hook up any more things or some other type of thing like that. We've created this district now, and does it obligate us now to make an arrangement with the village because we have a district that can't be served by the village? How does
I
that
think you're
actually
borrowing
work?
trouble, George, because we go way back with this, the decision-making we've had with the village through several administrations. I mean, they'd be pretty hard-pressed to, and I don't think the DEC or anybody's gonna say, no, you can't do
And
it.
I think the only thing that would happen if they said no, that you'd have to expand the sewer station, the sewer plant. Would have to be expanded to accept whatever they.
What sewer plant?
The village.
Village sewer plant?
Yeah.
That's not required.
Yeah, it's
No,
got-
That's not
no, that's not gonna happen.
We don't have to.
No, not us.
No.
No, not us.
No.
No, I understand, I live in the village. I'm understanding exactly what you're saying.
But I don't think.
We just have to build this sewer plant to begin with.
I think that would long be resolved before the first house goes up.
Well, I guess
Oh,
my
of
my
course,
point is
yeah.
I'd rather say
Yeah.
that, as we're sitting here right now, that there was a firm contract with the village, that they're accepting your sewage.
Yeah, it's
I guess
my
that's-
understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, isn't there an existing town-village agreement?
Yes.
Yes, and that's referenced in the developer's agreement that we negotiated and signed. But the requirement was go to the village and just get a letter that they're willing
Correct.
Right.
to serve the project, which.
Right.
Which we do have one already.
Did get it.
And we're
During
just asking for an
discussions
updated one.
With the current mayor.
Right.
If
but
there's
it's a
ever an
village
issue
concern.
about compliance with the village's wastewater treatment plant, you've got an existing agreement. I don't know how you address that issue, or even if it is.
Right.
But ultimately, it's a village issue. The owner-operator of a wastewater treatment plant permitted by the department. If there's a compliance issue, the village has to address that.
Exactly right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Phil has to pay more money.
Yep, that's what I was saying. That's exactly what I was saying.
That's,
So,
No, I don't think, I think you're familiar with it. I think they're way underneath the maximum.
yes, I'm gonna we went to court on this thing, because they were charging a premium for Hamiltonian Park because of the size of and they said, no, we're only building to 125% of what we had, what the Speedies permit allowed before. Well, now that the sewer's built and everybody's assessed, they're taking in Legoland, they're taking in all kinds of developments. I'm like, listen, this is a bottomless pit. I want to make sure that they don't come back now and say, you know what? We've taken in all of these projects. Everybody's going into the village sewer, and we don't have any room. So I want to make sure, and like George says, once we've established the district,
Yep.
gone to all this, and you've spent all this money, and we've spent all this time, that you can't get into the sewer, or they say to the town, no, we're at maximum capacity, we've exceeded our speedies permit, we can't take any more capacity. I just want to make sure that everybody's protected, and that's why I brought it up, that's all.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was.
Yeah, yeah, we're on the
Right.
same page.
And just to make clear for the record,
Yeah.
we did have that letter at the end of 2018, and Mr. Garen's in discussions with the mayor, just confirming the existing flows have not changed, and we'll confirm that.
Right, but the sewer is taking, the sewer is taking on a lot more customers
No question.
since you received that letter.
Yep.
And I'm just real sensitive to that area because we went to court. We won. Can you imagine the sewer,
But when they
you
give
couldn't
you
come to
willingness
an
to serve
agreement with the
letter,
village?
they're supposed to be reserving that capacity for you also.
I
Because they're
understand.
supposed to be keeping track of that in their
Right.
system, realizing that they've kind of dedicated that.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
in 18, that's what they said. I mean,
Yeah.
Truly, that letter's spelled out, this is reserved for you,
Yes.
so to speak.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so,
Yeah.
If it's not, and it's not, it's changed, then
I don't want it to continue to beat
Yeah.
the horse, but, over the years, there's been times where it's been loosey-goosey and come on in.
Right.
And then other times they shut the door down.
Yep.
And I believe one time the DEC shut the door down, that they couldn't aid anymore, so it depended on the time and the administration, but it is what it is now. Moving on. Last time you guys were here, we talked about the developers agreement. What is the amount of money that the town is getting from the developers agreement? Because I think you had said it was redone recently, say in the last 5 years or something like that. So is there amount, and the second part of it is there any restrictions on us? Needless to say, we're not gonna go buy a police car with it. We're not looking at that. Is there any restrictions on how we can use that developer's money?
George, it was for water and it was for sewer.
Sewer, right.
Right.
It wasn't for police cars, it was water.
Well, that's what I just said.
Yeah.
I know you can't do that.
Right, it was money for the,
Right.
towards a new water tank in Hamiltonian.
Right.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
improvements within the sewer
it
system.
was all spelled out.
And how much is it?
Andy has a copy here.
Right.
Okay.
So again, it'll be in your records as well.
Yeah.
The developers agreement was signed January 6, 2021.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's in there. There are a number of fees and costs outlined in here. It's not an easy one answer. It was broken down. There's obligations on the developer. It spells out when the town would take over in terms of operation, when it would take over in terms of accepting dedication, meaning title to the infrastructure. So there's a number of separate fees and costs that are outlined in here, all spelled out.
That the applicant is paying to us.
That's
Is that
correct.
right? Okay, right.
That's correct.
Okay.
And it's already signed, George.
Yeah, but there's no, it can't, there's not a dollar figure. I thought we negotiated.
There is a dollar
figure.
No, there is a dollar figure on the
but
number
there's
of homes.
like 5-6 items, each one is.
Okay.
Sean, it's not a lump sum.
It's
one
not
payment.
one lump sum.
Yeah, and they come on, as users are added,
Right.
we'll be
Correct.
making payments to the town.
I see.
And George, there's hookup fees, there's really utilization of our water tank, because they didn't have to build one, all these
Right.
are the kinds of things.
There's a reserve fund, there's other.
All that stuff, yeah.
It's 10 pages.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it was a very good thing for the people in Hamiltonian Park.
Right.
It really is, wonderful.
Anything else, George? No, the only other thing, I was thinking when you were saying about what it was gonna cost the individuals for their water and sewer, Mary probably would be maybe the best person to answer this. It appeared to me that the people that are out there now in Hamiltonian Park, and for that matter Heritage as well, are paying more money per year than what you were stating the people in.
No, this is
No,
actually,
it's
this is
the same.
actual data. This is actual
They're
data.
gonna be paying the same exact as the 4-bedroom homeowners in
Hamiltonian
Park
Park
or
and
Heritage.
Heritage.
So I mean, it's well over a couple thousand a year, right?
No,
Not a
no.
couple of thousand. John's numbers
Combined.
are good
So
annually.
It's less than
The
2,000
1200
combined.
So basically in Hamiltonian, as far as.
what age are you on?
Well, this is my calculations,
Oh,
but I'll,
okay. Is that-
That's,
I just got
It's
this
in the
tonight.
report.
so-
it's in the report. So basically, if you go to page 4 at the top,
Right,
there's a chart there. That chart is the rates that the town charges per 1,000 gallons.
right?
Okay. Below that, you'll see, I had calculated out what it would be quarterly and annually if it was based upon the design flows, 496 and 1985.
Mhm.
As you go down, the next paragraph and the next table, those are all based upon actual usage data that the town provided. So from there, using those flows, the next paragraph down, a 4-bedroom home ranges anywhere from 3,200 to, let's call it 15,600 gallons a quarter. Based upon that and backing it in using the town's actual rates, the range that they would pay is about $141 to let's say $72 per quarter, or $565 to $687 per annually.
Oh, okay.
And then you can do the same thing on page 5 and 6.
And that's water, and the, 5 and 6 is sewer?
5 and 6 is sewer, right? So
And
if
you're
you look at
correct,
page,
combined, it's under 2,000.
Yeah, under 2,000. Okay?
Anything else, George?
No.
Rick?
No, nothing.
Doug? All right. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
so moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Again, Rory, you're gonna have to get the agreement
Yep.
put
I
together.
need a motion to authorize me
Yep,
to.
motion to authorize the supervisor, the attorney to prepare the documents.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
thank you.
Thank you.
How fast are you gonna build?
Yeah, when you start.
Monday. I'll be allowed
The
to go
question is, how fast are you gonna sell?
Tuesday.
You know, one of the other things about, they have plenty of water over there. I
Yeah,
was sitting in my office
Yeah.
many years ago, and this farmer came in and said, gee, I can't believe there's a pipe and the water's coming out of the ground.
yeah.
I said,
I'm
"We
curious
thought-"
to see what the tests are,
Yeah.
and when they come back, you can share them with
They
us.
called Doug and they said, we're stealing water.
Yeah.
All right, very good, thank you very much.
Yes.
That is one of the benefits, right? So in addition
Sure.
to the financial contributions the developer's gonna make,
Yeah.
it is a very good marriage from an infrastructure standpoint, because you have Ham Park that has elevation and power,
Yeah,
and they have a very good water supply well.
Good
So
water
when the two
supply.
come together, the district overall will be stronger.
Yeah, so in actuality, I forget if it's well 1 or well 3, and get them mixed up, but the one that's 250 gallons a minute.
Yeah,
supposedly,
well 1.
That could supply all 3 subdivisions.
More or less.
And then well 3 is 92.
And there was discussion about having another water tank for fire and so on and so forth that we had addressed. And apparently that's,
no, that's,
I remember
Yeah.
that they were concerned, the fire company was concerned that they had enough water to handle the
With
district.
this being a new system,
Yeah.
the monies you're gonna collect
we can
can
do
really offset some of the improvements you may be looking to do in some of the other
Right.
developments. Since this is new, you really shouldn't be much to take care of. It's probably better.
Very good, thanks, John, appreciate it.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
very much,
Thank you.
gentlemen.
Thank you.
But when do you think you will start building it?
Yeah.
Have any
Andy,
idea?
you know the time frame better than I do.
Oh,
Oh, Sean, when are we gonna get
When do you
final?
think you'll start building?
So,
No pressure.
so what the planning board has done thus far is granted conditional preliminary with a whole series of conditions. They recently extended the time for us to satisfy the conditions through January.
Okay.
So he's working on getting these done. If
Sometime
we're
next
lined
year
up
then?
for final approval, you may be in line to start construction next year.
I hope so.
Well,
Wonderful.
It's up to Sean.
That's your
We do need to satisfy those conditions so we get final approval. That's likely over the winter.
Busted, I don't get it.
I know, I know
I'm
Sean's sitting
enjoying
there saying,
this.
thank you
I'm
very
gonna go
much,
back
Doug,
and
for
watch
asking
it.
that question.
money in the bank there, Sean.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
All right, review and discuss the electronic billboard sign. Sean put together a memorandum for us. This is what we talked about allowing for electronic signs along the two major highways? Sean?
Sure, so, somebody prepared a local law, I don't know who it was, I don't remember, was that you?
That was
or-
Lewis,
No,
Lewis
they-
sign, right? And you
Yeah,
guys-
from the company, it suggested local law, which I didn't tweak, touch,
No,
or anything, I figured I'd let you
That's fine, that's fine.
start.
So, in the packet is a suggested local law from a sign company, looking for you to allow off-premises static and electronic changeable signs, essentially billboard signs.
Right.
I went through the law, since I didn't know who prepared it, I didn't really know the background, I went through the law, and what I tried to do for you is to summarize the potential impacts, not necessarily environmental impacts, but where these can go, what they will look like, things you may want to consider. So I'm not really sure what the pleasure of the board is, but, so within the memo that I gave you, there's several different figures, that's your overlay, that's your zoning map, and the law is limited to within the C, O, and HC districts. So I used the zoning map and then identified all lands within 250 feet of major highways. And that's what those figures are, so you can get an understanding of where these potentially could go, and whether you wanted some additional restrictions. Now, the law uses some language that's a little ambiguous. It talks about these billboards being on arterial streets, divided highways, or interstate highways or expressways. I really think that should be defined better, maybe county highways, state roads, and interstates, or something like that, because if an application like this comes into the building inspector, you can't make a determination what's an arterial road, you know. So, so the way I've analyzed it is county roads, state highways, interstates within C, O, and HC districts within 250 feet. So that, so far so good?
Mhm.
Okay. Then the second item I looked at is what they're asking you for in those areas. And essentially, they're asking you for billboards. Fairly similar to the billboard you see on 17 down through Chester. Message changes every 8 to 10 seconds.
Right.
All right. That's the actual specific size they asked for. I think it was 647 or 27 square feet. Then they've also asked for the ability for some smaller signs, and that's what you usually see on lower volume roads.
And who is they?
Lewis sign.
Okay,
It's actually Melissa Gallo's company.
right, right.
So, overarching main points, right now, you're not allowed to have these signs in the town. They're
Right.
prohibited.
Right.
In fact, you wouldn't even be able to have an off-premises sign if you had a business that was on a dead-end street and you wanted to put a sign at where it intersects,
Right.
you wouldn't allow it to be.
Well, where's the energy behind this, other than the private company that makes them?
I'm not sure. I'm just
Because
asking.
I don't know if there's gonna be any pushback by citizens not wanting one that's gonna be flashing all the time or whatever,
Yeah.
where.
Well, you would have to go, this would go to a public hearing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we go through the process.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just
The-
wonder where it started and.
It started at the last meeting, looking at revenue and potential revenue, and also, you know, the fact that, you know, so we have clients out there that are looking for it, Legoland's being one of them.
Oh, I know.
You know,
Yeah.
And I don't think we're looking to overcrowd. I mean, this is gonna be extremely separated.
Right.
Yeah, there's only a few spots that
Yeah, it's
can
only,
go.
they pinpointed a couple of spots, that's it, that they'd be able to do it.
They don't want them too close together,
No.
their own marketing, their own, you know.
Right now, it says 1,000 feet separation on the same side of the road, so you could have them at 500 feet if they were on opposite sides of the road. If the board is limited to very strategic spots, you may be able to do that with something not as broad as this law. I think when you're considering this, you have to consider that what the ultimate build-out could be. I know you're not gonna realize that, you're not gonna have one of these every 1,000 feet,
Right.
but they would be permitted.
Wouldn't this be referred, it would be referred, we would hear from the planning board, right? Would this be a referral?
It's a
So,
modification of your zoning
Right.
code, you'd have to refer to the planning board
Right.
and
so they,
the
you
county.
know,
So they would.
we
be
would
the
have an
ones to
additional
figure it out.
opinion
Okay,
as
fine.
to, you know, how they want that
And-
spaced out,
and-
if they even want, you know.
We still need to bring Lewis sign in for a presentation. you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
They'll show us some design work and what they want, you know, this is the second meeting we have of it, that's it.
So is Melissa owns Lewis sign?
Yeah, she wishes.
She works for.
I thought you said
She-
she works for Lewis.
Her company, meaning that she's an employee of the company.
Yeah.
If revenue is really what's driving it on the town side, I think it would be important perhaps if you were to maybe see. So I think the way it would happen is somebody has a parcel right now, a sign is permitted, the sign is installed, their assessed value goes up. what does that mean to you in terms of dollars and cents? And maybe the assessor's office can give you a better understanding of how much revenue you're talking about, maybe potentially bringing in.
Yeah, I haven't gotten into negotiation with them, but there was a number thrown out there by somebody, and I don't know who yet, but I will find it, that they were giving 1 month's worth of revenue to the towns that the signs are in. So that's eight turns per minute, and I think each one of them paid $5,000 a month. So it's roughly about $40,000.
Okay, that's through a pilot, or that's through a host benefit, or how do they?
To be determined, you know,
Okay.
yeah.
I haven't seen a pilot.
So out of the total revenue that Lewis Sign or whoever actually owns the thing, 40,000
Per sign.
per sign would come to the town.
I believe that's what, the way they structured it. I don't know what the fees are, if they've come down. I know when I was gonna rent one, it was $5,000 a month. So when there are 8 turns, so that's $40,000 a month
I see.
they generate.
That's good. I didn't know you were that expensive.
Joe, when you say turns, you mean an individual advertiser?
Every,
on the same sign?
every
Okay.
8 seconds,
Okay, all right.
any questions, anybody?
This really is just to start you thinking about it.
Yeah.
I can answer any questions.
Thinking about it.
All right,
Well, you know, the history, I guess I don't know, been around too long, but I mean, we had a,
Ricky?
we had a huge brawl, so this is when I was with the village, not physical, just verbal, over the Burger King sign.
Yeah.
You know, you can hardly see it as you go on 17, and it was just like the end of the world.
Wasn't there a
That's the Burger
sign
King
down
sign
by
that's
the
going.
Gulf Station back in the day? A big lit up sign, like kind of a,
No,
Back,
that,
like-
that meant way back.
It was-
Well, I
Kinda like
just
the
assumed it
village
was
had
George.
some, I mean, like the beer company up there, they had the park truck out there, so you can see.
Right.
well, they have one on the building now. That's exactly what we would see, is what Dana has,
Yeah.
and the turning of that message.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't rent it out, it's all their messages, but
Right.
that's exactly what the sign would be.
There was a lot of turmoil when they were,
Yeah,
Well, there was a lot of
Talk about-
turmoil because gas stations were talking about putting these huge,
yeah,
large signs, illuminated signs on,
yeah.
changing them. It was, looked like
yeah.
Route
All right.
95 or Las Vegas.
So next steps, I'll try to get Lewis signed here for a presentation.
yeah.
Very good, thank you, Sean. Next on the agenda is review and approve the stormwater construction, completion, and maintenance guarantee for Javelin Court subdivision. I didn't even know who they were, they're so old.
Yeah, I apologize for asking Mary to add this to your agenda late. I got something in from the developer late, and he was looking to try to kind of move this ahead, because then now the next step is go to the planning board. So this is Javelin subdivision. You may recall that, I think this was Mr. Shapiro at one time. It is, I can't recall, it's 8 or 9 lots at this moment. I think it's 8 off of the paddock, off of Butler Drive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's been around, I believe, since 2007. It's been dormant for a very, very long time. It was recently purchased by Frank Nutt. You know, Frank Nutt, he's a home builder. And, you know, he's looking to now finalize the approval and start construction. So it's here before you this evening because under your stormwater code, there's 2 stormwater bonds that have to be filed. One is for construction, so it's like a performance bond to make sure the ponds and the silt fence and everything goes in. And the other is for maintenance. So you would retain in perpetuity in annual, what it would cost for them to do the annual maintenance on those structures.
Wow.
So they're not in the village?
No, they are in the town. If you were in the town, you would have to cross through the village to access their site. Yeah.
Okay, I remember that, yeah.
Isn't there a lot of wetland back there?
There is a large wetland back there,
Yeah.
yeah, they've avoided it, they've updated their wetland delineation.
Uh-huh.
Again, it's only 8 lots, so they're very tight to, you know, they don't wanna
Yeah,
have 2
right.
lots because it costs more to develop them, so
Sure.
they're close to the road.
Yep.
Yeah.
So who's maintaining that road? Private
That road will actually be maintained by a homeowners association unless and until you decide that you want that road. So you don't have to take the road, but the door was left open in case you ever want to take it.
So they're plowing it today? for the
Well, there is no road there today.
Oh,
It'll be constructed. He needs the bonds in place to begin construction.
okay.
But yes, it would be a homeowner association that's responsible for the drainage
Right,
and also responsible for the road.
gotcha.
Why wouldn't it automatically be a town dedicated road, is this?
I think there was, some of this predates my involvement in the project, but I think the concern was the access over Butler Drive, which is a private road.
Right.
Any damage the town vehicles may do as they travel over Butler.
Okay.
What if Butler is not cleaned and they want to come remove this? So there were a lot of issues because of the connection with Butler.
Right.
Okay, so it's because that's
Right.
not a dedicated road.
That's not, no, it's private road.
Gotcha.
So what do we need to do here? I mean, well, first of all, is there any questions?
Well, what actually are we
Yeah.
here tonight to actually do? What is our responsibility in quotes?
Your code requires you, upon a recommendation from me, to set those two bond amounts. So I've given you a recommendation of what those two bonds amounts would be.
Oh, I see, and is that, let's see, oh, okay, I didn't get this till, okay, so it's 31,350?
Yes,
And maintenance is 1,500.
yes. And
Well,
you,
going back to the Butler Drive issue, that, as you say, is a private road, I guess, although I think the village, no, the homeowners association is still maintaining that. But are we going to, or is the village, I guess, going to allow a private road and then go into a public town road?
it's not a town road.
It's gonna be a private.
We don't have to take it,
Oh,
it's gonna be maintained by the homeowners
Right,
association.
but I guess it should be built to town
That's a very good point,
specifications
yes.
in case that was to take place in
So
the future.
what we're going to do is we're going to treat it as if it was going to be developed. And the developer's on board with this. He is going to file a performance bond. He's going to build it to town specifications. He's going to have it inspected. It's not a tremendously long road. So
No.
the extra, if you will, the additional to bring it into town standards is very minor.
So he must have an agreement with the people that own that private road.
As part
because-
of the planning board's review, you have to demonstrate access, right? Access is a threshold issue like water and sewer.
Right.
He provided, the former developer provided a deed that indicated that he had a legal right to access Butler. And that's noted in the planning board's resolution.
Okay.
Rick, anything? Doug, anything? So what, a motion to accept these figures? All right, so can I have a motion to accept Sean's figures on the Javelin project?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you, Sean, again. Next on the agenda is discuss the hiring of Brandon Ammonia as a part-time employee to install cellular service units in the water sewer district. Any questions, any comments, any?
What are these units cost, the unit cost for them?
$260.
$260. We're gonna try, we have an issue in Scotchtown, right? We have an issue in Scotchtown. 14 of the meters we haven't been able to get reading in, how many years, Christine? Larry?
Well, we don't know how many years, but in the last current read, we're missing 14 out of the 44 homes.
Because we can't get a read off of it.
Right.
So there's a potential there for, well, it's definitely lost revenue that we're
There's
gonna
definitely
recoup.
Well, I mean, what we ought to be doing though is going, you can go in the house and see it visibly. I mean, you'd have to send somebody out there to do it, but it may not be sending it to you or whatever.
Right.
But we know, I mean, they're.
We're not doing that.
Huh?
We're not doing that apparently.
Well, we should do it so that in
We don't
fairness
have
to the
anybody
other-
to do it.
in fairness to everybody in that water district, who's gonna, they're.
But I guess
Lost
Brandon
revenue.
is gonna do it.
Yeah, this isn't about that. This is about us getting the electronic reads here, so nobody has to go into the home or go around quarterly to take the reads. Because I think on average, out of all the homes, we're usually estimating at least 40 reads every quarter.
And we've had multiple issues of
Leaking.
people going away for the winter, snowbirds going away for the winter and coming back to a $3,000 bill.
Or people, their home, their toilet in the basement that they never use is running.
Yeah.
They have no idea and we have to.
Well, that's
tell
been
them
going
that.
on since day one, but the fact we're not getting reads, that's something we should
Well, that's why Mary put this whole package together.
Yeah.
So we need a motion?
Motion?
Yeah.
I'll make the motion as per here, the $35 per hour,
Mhm.
working Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, 4 to 7. Expects to install 3 to 4 per day. And, you know, with the fact that we have so many problems up there, that I guess it should be addressed at the meter cost of $253.86.
Very good. Second that motion?
So, second.
You'll make it back.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Review and approve the July 27, 2023 minutes. Any questions on it? Everything looks pretty good on it.
I don't know.
No?
I'll make the motion to accept them.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Finance, review and approve of manual AP run as of 6/30/23 in the amount of $20,903.16. Can I have that motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Discuss and approve a motion to authorize the supervisor to pay accounts payable check run for August 10th, 2023 in the amount of $278,504.47. Can I have that motion?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Information only, Christine, Budget Officer Christine Cavalier performed an accounts payable review for July 27, 2023 and August 10th. It's attached. Do you have any questions on that?
I think, just so you know, I think Jennifer added one item that was on my AP review, but I don't know if she updated her numbers with you, Mary.
She did, she changed her number,
She changed her
but
numbers.
it lowered, because she does escrow twice sometimes, but she didn't.
So I don't know if those numbers that she had don't sound familiar.
You could look at that.
Which one's on 278?
Yeah, I thought my total was 279, wasn't it? 279, 719, something like that.
It says, this was for AP run? 270,
For July?
278, 504.47. This one says.
That's what the number from Jennifer. Right, and my number I think was different.
Right, so
I think mine was higher.
let's approve it at 278. If there's a change, let's make the change at the next meeting. We'll adjust it. All right, privilege of the floor, nobody's here. Can I get a motion to close?
Wait, Christine came tonight.
Right.
Because we were gonna discuss a little bit on how to charge the customers for the meters. You looked back in our
Yep.
history.
Oh, that's right, I apologize, she did give that to me. I shared that with you, Phil. Yeah, Christine, go ahead and take a look.
Well, I looked back at some old tax bills from a resident in Ham Park, and I saw the tax bills online only go back to 2008. But from 2008 through 2013, which is 6 years, they were charged a total of $172.01. So that might be an option to pay for the meter installation.
Pay for the meter.
That was the meter itself,
The
cost,
meter
the
itself.
actual cost, right?
Right, yeah,
What's the actual cost now? 2-something?
260.
Right,
And
and I'm not
the-
sure, like I said, how long it had been going on, but the charges were like $29 to $33 per year.
So we thought we'd start with Scotchtown, because it's
Yeah.
got 44 homes,
Right.
take one district at a time.
Yep.
I'd like to order the 44 meters.
Right?
Not sure how soon they can be delivered because of delays, but Schmidt said they would try to get me as many as he can give us. They're coming in at 100 at a time, but they're only coming in every 2 or 3 months. So it's not gonna be something that's gonna be done quickly, you know? So I wanna put in an order for the 44 and hire Brandon so we can start looking at Scotchtown.
So when he finishes the 44, then what happens to his employment? We'll have other
We'll
meetings
move
to
on
start
to
somebody
Stonehenge,
else?
yeah.
Okay.
And then we'll hit the bigger ones, Hamiltonian. We're gonna have, obviously Maplewood will put those meters in when it comes time. They'll install them in their new homes.
Right.
So should you put in an order enough for that and Stonehenge all at once?
Well, we can get 100 on the first, we can get 100 on
We'll
the first
get the
order,
100,
yeah.
Not just
Yeah.
44.
So we'll get Scotchtown and
That's what I
Stonehenge
mean,
at the same
yeah,
time.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Schmidt said that he'll work with me
Oh.
and try to keep us going.
Oh, okay.
Because this
Yeah.
gentleman can probably only put in 2 or 3 in the evening, and if there's a problem, obviously, You know, some homes are not gonna be
Yeah,
easy.
but
We
we
have-
need to get as many as we can get.
Yeah.
We have enough in both of their budget, in their capital
In
funds?
Scotchtown, we don't, so we'd probably have to borrow money,
Okay.
just like from the B fund.
And if you're going to assess it back to the residents,
Mhm.
what's the term on the 278, one time?
Well, I think we should probably break it out to like 5 or 6 years, since last time we, only charged $30 a year.
So, okay.
But it's their money that's buying it to start with, right?
Right.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll have to find out what the process is with the county to put it on the taxes. Is there something we need to do? But I did hear back from associations of towns. I asked if, we were able to do that, and that we did do it in the past. They said it'll depend on how the town established the district. Town law, section 202, provides how water district charges are to be assessed, among other things. Indicates how the form of assessment, in parentheses, benefit versus ad valorem, cannot be changed once established by the town board. If the town had the authority to do this previously, then that authority likely still exists.
Clearly, we have the authority, we've done it once before.
Right. So I just need to check with the county, like, what are the steps? Do we need to, send out letters, or, I don't know that we would need to get approval,
So,
We'll have to send out
before-
letters.
we have to
Definitely some-
notify
We're
no
gonna
them.
be sending
Some
them a
That's what
letter.
I
property.
think.
Yeah.
Send it
That's
out
what I
with their bill.
We're gonna send out a letter telling them we're installing them and to call us and to set up an appointment
For them to, yeah.
for us to go in and do it.
Mhm.
And
So
if
there'll have to be a
you-
mechanism if they don't call you though.
That's when we contact our town lawyer
Yeah.
Send them a letter.
and he sends them a letter.
Send it
Ideally,
over.
you put that in the original letter that if you don't, listen, I'm just,
I know, yes,
it's one less letter.
yeah.
If we don't
Town
get
law,
it,
202 or
stop.
something.
if you
right?
don't get it installed, if you
At
don't
their
get it
certain
installed,
point,
the
we're-
minimum is gonna go up, that's all we can do,
Whatever the
Well, we
mechanism.
had
We've
that
done this before.
situation.
Yeah, yeah.
We've done this before
Yeah.
many times, and it worked
We
fine.
just got our first meter in Stonehenge, remember? I was here,
I can't remember.
the guy went
Yeah.
10 years without a meter in his house.
Right,
Wow.
right.
Wow.
So does $50 a year for 5 years sound appropriate?
Yeah,
On the
6
tax
years with some labor on it.
No, on the water
Why
and
are
sewer.
we bringing it
It's
up
a
to
bill.
5 years?
on the tax.
Yeah, I have one on the sewer bill. It's
No,
on-
on the taxes.
No,
it's
It's
not
on the
tax
tax
bill.
bill.
Yeah,
Oh,
tax
yeah, well, why,
I didn't
why,
see
why
that.
why do you
Yeah.
wanna go out 5 years?
I'm just
He-
basing
he's
it
the
on what
bank.
we charged before. I mean,
How much paying, to get.
It's probably gonna be, you're gonna pay, they're gonna be paying interest on the 5 years, I mean, it's
It's gonna be an
$250.
administrative burden, I mean, it's not a big, they're getting new water meters, they'll know that.
And it's designed to save them money.
Yeah.
Correct.
right.
So-
So, just assess it.
I mean, I'm just saying, like,
One
on
year and do
Scotchtown
it.
right now, they don't
Yeah.
have the money for it, but,
I understand.
Well,
But
we're
it's going
gonna,
on
right,
the tax
so
bill.
we are gonna have to borrow for it, clearly, but I think $250 is not a lot of money. I mean, I'm not
No.
assuming anything of anybody else's finances, but
No.
it's not an astronomical amount of money, and most, if you're gonna assess it on their taxes, it's gonna come out of their escrow anyway.
right, well, you don't wanna mess up with their escrow, that's the other concern.
Why don't we just put it divide it by 4, or the quarters, and recoup it in a year, just as part of their.
That's part of their water
I
sewer.
Or
mean,
sewer
that's
bill.
fine by me, but I don't know
Yeah.
how some of the residents are gonna feel about that.
Well,
I mean, every time we wanted to raise their minimum, $20, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They're,
Well, listen, I mean, we know we have issues out there, we know part of it, we attribute a lot of this loss to I&I, but I think some of it is to just, we're not getting the correct readings.
yeah,
All right, so we can make a determination later on how we're gonna do this. Right now, we're just gonna hire this gentleman, order the units, and then, and let's prepare something for the next meeting on how we're gonna do it.
yeah,
Thank you, Christine.
yep,
yeah.
All right, I need to just go into executive session, so I'm gonna get a motion to close the meeting,
Not to return.
not to return.
For what reason?
It's an issue relative to, a piece of property in the town that the county owns.
Is it litigation?
No.
Yeah, potential litigation.
Okay, you can only go into executive
Yep.
session for
Yeah, I was just waiting to see what.
Yep, it's
employee
potential,
personnel or litigation, so.
it's
I
potential.
was ready to go.
Oh, I know you were. I'm sorry,
It's-
I didn't mean to
it's
step on your toes.
It could, let's put it this way, it could be litigation from residents, yes.
Motion to close.
All right, motion to close.
So moved.
Second?